Well, fortunately, we're back here this week, working at it from a really good perspective about finishing up this season on the right note against a really good team. Needs it as well as we do. It's a championship matchup for us, and fortunately, we're in that situation to see if we can generate another good ball game and keep this thing moving along. We're making some progress. We're doing some things better. Some things we continue to work on that we'll try to get ironed out this week, but. Knowing that this club just came off a great victory over a division rival and played an amazing game, it's going to be hard. And so that's what we expect this time of year.
What do you know about Mason Rudolph and his style of play?
Well, he's been around for a few years. He's started a number of games. We got all kinds of film on him, so we can see him. He's a big, strong-armed, good-looking kid. Looked great the other night. Dropped some dimes on him and made some huge plays. It gave him a real spark where they jump, to 21 zip, right off the bat, and it's obvious, that he lifted them. And they got great play out of other guys too. The turnovers and all that helped, but he was right in the middle of all that.
What do you know to be true about a Mike Tomlin coach team?
That's a good question because it's so obvious. It really is. They play tough. They're aggressive. They don't settle for just lining up and just giving it to you. You just got to beat them. They're going to come after you. They're going to attack you. Always challenging with the defensive game plans. Big backs run the football, the whole thing. Special teams is really good. They blocked 3 punts this year already or something. So they've had a big factor in how they play. And a fantastic turnover team. Again, he always does that, and he did it again.
I think you and Mike are separated by one win on the all-time win list. I think you've got it by one right now. What stands out about him as a coach, other than the style of what they play, but just his demeanor, how he handles his teams, what you've seen from him?
Mike is always his consistency is what's most noticeable to me, and something I really appreciate. But he's also been a really stand-up, up-front dude. He's been always at the point of the discussions, whether he's working with the rules committee or whatever. He's had an opportunity to express what he feels and what he thinks is necessary, and it just screams of who he is. He's a really, really good man, and they've had the good fortune of having him for years. I think 16 years, never had a losing season. That's a pretty good marker now. That's hard to get that done, and have ultimate respect for him.
Have you ever talked to him about you and he, the rarity in the NFL, the longevity and the consistency?
No, haven't. Sorry.
Devin Witherspoon, is there any progress?
Oh, he's got a little spark to him today. A little spark. And that when he's firing, you know it. He was bouncing around pretty good in the walkthrough. We'll see what happens in practice today. So this is the first time really he's been able to show a little bit of something getting back on the field. He's wanted to and tried to, but it was fun watching him out there.
Devin Bush got some more playing time this last week. He'll be playing his former team. What did you expect from him when you acquired him, and what has he given you?
We hoped that he'd be right in the midst of the competition for playing time and all, and contributing in a number of ways. He's a really good all-around athlete, and he's got good versatility to him. You've seen us play him on the edge quite a bit as an outside backer. He has all of that flexibility, and he's a real good natural football player. So he's fit in. It's been hard, behind Bobby and Jordan a good deal of the time, but his spirit has always been there. He's got a great chance to play a lot this week, and I know he'll be fired up for that. So yeah, there's always something to that. Last week Rio had his chance to go back against his old club, and there's something to that just kind of juices guys up, and I totally respect that, and I like honoring that because it's meaningful. It means something.
So Devin will practice today or no?
Let's see what happens. He bounced around and walked through. Let's see what happens when we get out there. I don't know that yet.
How's Jordan Brooks doing?
He's pretty sore. So we gotta wait and see what happens.
What's the plan with Jamal Adams this week?
He was at walkthrough also bouncing around. So he's gonna practice today. It's the first time in a while that we've got a chance to get him out. He's had a good break, and we'll see what that means. I can't conclude anything about that, but I'm happy for him. I know he's pumped up to be back out there.
If he comes back healthy, does he return as the starter at that spot?
We'll see. You have to wait and see on that.
Mentioning Devin Bush, he hasn't gotten as much playing time as those other guys this year, so I guess going into a game with him as the starter, does he have to kind of get himself his mindset ready, or kind of any differences they need to make?
Yeah, there's some special circumstances here. You know, the fact that he's playing against his old team and he got drafted by him and all that kind of stuff, as well as, you know, game plan and prepping and all that. There's a lot going on. And so this is an important week for him to be right down the middle and really, you know, keep his head down and get his work done so that he can prepare well. Because what he wants to do is he wants to help his team play well. And so he's got to be really ready to do that. And there is reason to be distracted. You know, first time, a few times he's got a chance to play a lot and all that, possibly. And then his club and whatever else is going on, you know. So that's the kind of guy I'm looking forward to hanging out with a little bit this week and talking him through it and just seeing how he's doing and making sure that he's level and clear.
Did Geno Smith make it through the game okay?
Yes, he did. He came out great and he looked terrific again today. So he's back and going. We're over the hump.
After that 49ers game where big plays were a big issue, I think it's been like 9 explosives in the last 2 games, 1 play over 20 yards. What have you guys done to clean up the
We have
big
done some
plays?
stuff.
How do you like
The
the way
last
that
thing I'm going to do is tell you what we're doing. I mean, it's hard enough as it is.
those adjustments have worked, whatever it is you're doing, just what it's done for your defense to take those away?
Well, it's made a difference. You know, we've slowed down the throwing game considerably. You know, and the points are down in the range that you can live with and all that. So we've got a long ways to go here to make this season really something. But we've turned a corner that really is significant. I can tell, and we all know that. And so we're building on that, whatever that means.
Counter to that, how do you feel about the run defense and kind of how it's been?
Yeah, we've been rope-a-doping here the last couple of weeks, you know. That's an old reference, right? You know, yeah. It's not where we want it, and it's not how we like it. Yet it's been an interesting balance because the passing game has really been quiet along with that. So it's not what we want at all. The second half of the game last week, you know, I think we gave up 40 yards rushing or something like that, and that's a terrific turnaround because we got knocked around in the first half, and the quarterback had some big carries and all that. But to be able to adjust and fix and get a winning fix is what's crucial, and to keep the points down, whatever that combination is. If that's the way it continues, that's the way it continues. I don't know. I'd rather have it be different. I'd rather have get him under 100 yards rushing.
Coach, T.J. Watt, obviously he can wreck a game plan, so not to give away the game plan, but how do you neutralize a rusher like that?
Yeah, like I've said in the past about he and his brother and the guys that are that impacting, you have to do a little bit of everything. You know, there's no one way to stop him. He's such a volatile football player, and it's just really a challenge. And so that's why he's got 17 sacks, and he's doing it again. You know, he's having another great year. Everybody knows he's there, and he ain't hiding. So we got to do a nice job and keep him guessing a little bit as best we can, and try to keep him from being a big part of this game.
The odd situation last week with Julian Love, what was it like trying to get him ready for a game where he's not here?
Man, well, Coach Roy Anderson flew back with him. You know, he flew out on a plane after we had left, and Coach just grilled him for the 5-hour trip or whatever it was across the country, and he was dead tired now. He was cooked. You could tell even after the game he had obviously a huge week and a very trying week in a different way. It lasted so long. You know, all the bursts are a challenge and extraordinary and all that, but he had to go through it for 3 or 4 days to try to get through it and help Julia get through it and all that. So it took its toll. He did a great job. He played a fantastic football game, was on it, no issues. So during the week he was zooming. During the week he was in on the meetings and stuff like that. So he just didn't get the physical work on the field.
Have you ever seen a situation like that with a player who?
Not exactly. No, we've had babies during the season and stuff like that, but that one was really. He could have. They were thinking about the week before even, and so it was a long haul for those guys, and thankfully they had a beautiful baby boy, and everything worked out great.
What is it about T.J. Watt as a rusher that makes him different from a Myles Garrett, from a Micah Parsons, from a Nick Bosa, and the way that they kind of get there?
All those guys you just mentioned have their own physical unique makeup, and they're all those guys are different, but they all have the same kind of impact, and Mike is a little different in how they use him and all, but they're extraordinarily gifted at what it takes to be a pass rusher, and that's that length and quickness and explosion and athleticism and sense and timing and feel, all of those things to be that high a caliber player. You know, it's not just how fast you are, how big you are. There's so many other things going. And to sustain over years and continue to be a really impacting player, that's a whole different level, you know, of guy. And those guys you mentioned they're way out there. They're all very exceptionally gifted with their physique and the physical side of what they have to offer, or they wouldn't be able to do it, you know, so it takes all that.
Patrick Peterson is a guy you're familiar with, but at corner, he spent the last 2 games at safety. What have you seen in that move that he's made and the characteristics?
Now he's making the transition. You know, I don't know if I've ever said this to you guys, but when Patrick came to our camp at SC, I had made the comment that he was the best player at his position we'd ever seen in all those years we were there. I mean, he was so perfectly gifted and all that. And so we obviously tried to get him to come, and we couldn't get him. But so I've been on, watching him for a long time, and he's an unbelievably gifted athlete. But it's, again, like we're talking the other guys, it's way more than that. It's all the sense and awareness. He's using all of that to make this quick transition, and he looks smooth back there, and he's comfortable doing it. So this is what happens sometimes to corners, in their later years, they get a chance to do this, and he's totally capable of pulling this off. So he's doing a nice job so far.
What did Geno show you kind of just in the last 3 weeks with the injury and maybe wanting to play but then not getting to play? And then
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Because we've been through a lot, and we've had a lot of discussions about dealing with the challenge of it and trying to get back, and what's the timeline, how much should we do, how much could you take, how you feel. I mean, all of those conversations every day 3 weeks ago, as we started it, and then holding it back in week 2 to try to see how far he could come back without any real activity, testing him on game night and all that stuff. And he was so frustrated, and it killed me to have to go through that. But, fortunately it worked out, and he came back and had a great week last week and played a phenomenal football game, won a game and all that. And he's back now, like just checking in with him today. So there has been a lot that's happened. And fortunately, I think because of our background and we've been connected and communicated so much for so many years, that even though it was hard, it wasn't hard, and nobody was yelling at anybody or none of that kind of stuff. It was just having to just work through it and just kind of hug our way through it and make the right choices and make the tough choices and just keep hanging, which Geno is famous for. He did exactly that. And when the time was right and he was ready to go, look what he did. So it's a real memorable span of time there with one of my all-time favorite guys, and I'm glad we made it through it, and love the success that he was able to show last week.
What was Julian able to do during the week, if at all, for the prep? Was he on virtual stuff? Or?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was Zooming. He was in on all of the meetings. He got anything that he wasn't available for, he had recorded. So I had the notes and all that stuff. So. And there was some calling back and forth when there was time in between stuff and all, but it was all remote, So.
Was he even there for the walkthrough the day before, or?
No, he wasn't around at all. He came by the building to tell us he was going back to the hospital. I think he checked in one.
I meant in Nashville, like you guys. For any of that?
He got in about 4:00 the night before, and so our coaches went right to work with him, and then we had the meetings that night, and he was with us then.
You say about Jaxon Smith-Njigba, his ability to stay even keel and yet stay committed each week to getting better and better.
Yeah, he's really a special kid, and he's so composed and so confident. He knows he's going to make the plays that he's making, and he just expects it, which is what great players do. He has no question, he doesn't doubt anything that he's faced with. He's just got this remarkable confidence and all that, and the ability to go with it. He would never be able to do that if he didn't have this great ability that taught him over the years that's who he is. But it's even more than that. And I think he's a great competitor. He's really smart. It makes sense to him. He can do things once and he's got it. So he's a remarkably valuable first-year player because of all of that. I mean, look, he's got 50-something catches already and bunch of connections on third downs and stuff like that. So he's doing great.
When he got his hand injured, I remember you talking to us. What trait did you see from him early?
Yeah, there he demonstrated the real grit now. He never even doubted for a second that he was going to be able to go. And whatever it took, it didn't matter. He didn't miss anything more than he absolutely had to. The cast barely dried, on his hand, and he's out there practicing and stuff. So that's just one remarkable thing about him, that he was able to see through that setback and not be affected by it. And he still was catching the ball with one hand, and whatever he had to do, didn't miss anything, So, yeah, it's just a rare young man.
The pass rush obviously got going pretty big this past game. Between whether it's losing Uchenna early, adding Leonard Williams, just have you seen that group evolve throughout the year?
I'm really fired up about him. I think we're leading the NFC in sacks or something like right now. We're tied with somebody, whatever. We're way up there. It's a good statement, and it's a really good part of our game. This was a game plan that we went into knowing we had to get the pass rush revved up. Really, the pressure was on the guys in that regard. We talked straight up about it and called on them, and then they came through and got it done right from the early part of the game. And the message was sent clear, and it helped us out again. So, I mean, it's a really good group, and it seems like they're gelling. It seems like even though we didn't have a big game last week, the week before, numbers-wise, we still were effective in what we were doing, and so we've been continuing to get better. So it's a nice sign for this time of year.
Is Damian Lewis okay?
Yes.
Would you hear back from the league on the Trey Brown pass interference?
Haven't heard yet. I don't know.
Did something happen with Jason Peters in the game, or?
Yeah, he did. He had a plantar fascia injury. Sounds pretty good, huh? He's getting around okay. He's moving around all right. We don't know how that's going to hold him back yet. We got to wait.
Is the plan there just to kind of rotate him in a little bit? Or?
We don't know that yet. We got to wait and see.
What all makes Geno Smith one of your all-time favorite guys? You just mentioned.
See the
What
story.
all goes into Geno Smith being one of your all-time favorite guys?
God, I love his story. He's taught me so much, and I admire him for the way he's handled the whole competitive part of this thing. He's taught us about belief in yourself and how powerful that is. And I mean, as clear an illustration of anybody I can ever remember. I mean, that's why he stands out so much. Forget this year, last year. Go back 2, 3, 4 years. Where was he then? He was the same guy every time out and just kept hanging. I mean, I probably didn't give him enough credit because I probably didn't believe it, that he was really, maybe he's kind of faking, he's saying the right stuff. He meant it, man. He was on it, and he proved it. He proved it. That's what the last year was all about. He proved that his confidence in himself and belief and all that, conviction and all that was real, and he came through in a huge way. And I mean, he's playing terrific football for us.
And those times when he was telling you all the belief when he wasn't playing behind.
No, well, not so much, not so openly. Hey, he wasn't bragging about nothing, or he wasn't challenging nothing other than it was just the way he was. It was. Now that I look back, I see it. I didn't, like I said, I wasn't sure it was that unique until when the opportunity arose, and now he exploded on the scene with his brain right intact, right where it needed to be to take full advantage of the opportunity, and he did.
Bobby Wagner, that basically played every snap, I think. I don't know if that's necessarily playing when
he's been busy.
Yeah. Just in general, what kind of season has he had? I mean, has he?
Really solid. I mean, he's got 100 and, I don't know, was it 40 or 50 tackles or something like that again? I don't even keep track of that. But he's way out there consistency-wise. And he's done a great job of leading, and he's been a perfect symbol for our guys on this club and for the younger guys. And his willingness to work with Jordan and just help those two guys grow together as teammates and all that, and bring out the best. I mean, just on and on. So there's just everything in the world has been positive about it.
Pete, I think Phil Haynes would be eligible to come back for you this week. Where is he at in his recovery?
Today he's not going today. We're going to go day at a time. We would like to get him available as soon as possible, so we're working at it. We're not quite there yet.
How much is the way you all have been able to play back the last couple of weeks, the way you did it with those game-winning drives and whatnot, really demonstrate what it'll take to end this thing on a high note?
Well, it is about finishing. They're great illustrations for us about finishing, and we use that extend that illustration to things other than just the game. But this season is an opportunity to finish, and if we can maintain the same kind of discipline about how we finish and how we're focused and we're available for those moments. Here's this game right here, and then there's the next game, and then that would have been the end of the season, going into the playoffs and all that. So it's so valuable. it empowers the reason to believe and to keep focusing in the way that we do and believing in the process and how we practice and all that kind of stuff. And I was just talking to him today, but we need to have a great Wednesday. Wednesdays are a big deal around here for us. And this is an opportunity to have like the best Wednesday we've had all year. Why would we not? You know, it's just us. And so we'll see. I think it's going to be a heck of a day today.
To be clear, Jordan's not practicing?
He won't go today.
And what's going, last one, injury, what's going on with D and the ribs?
With
D, Eskridge, and
yeah, we know a little bit more, and I don't know if we need to go into anything about that. Let's wait on that. But we know a little bit more about his injury. Something else kind of showed and surfaced on, and so we'll be dealing with that.
Can he play again this year?
I don't know that yet. Okay.